Wellington's Michael Roach-Gray thought he'd seen everything after 4 decades of managing construction sites. That is, until he began looking into concrete, quite literally looking inside columns, beams, walls and floors using new ultrasound technology developed along with Crown agency Callaghan Innovation. He also uses ground radar and ferroimaging to see if there's enough steel inside the buildings.
Cover in concrete, nobody will know. It's just another story. Old adage. If it's not there, nobody will know. And when the structural elements aren't there, like they should be, like they're on the drawings, and they're sitting in the waste bin at the skip, they just say, oh, nobody will know.
Michael Roach-Gray says it goes beyond a national crisis.
That's a nice way of putting it.
What's another way of putting it?
It's just bullshit.
Concrete Structure Investigations has scanned 1,200 buildings since 2016. 1,100 of them had missing concrete or steel. Apartment blocks, offices, public spaces, most of them built since the 1980s, some of them new, some of them unfinished. In Auckland, in Tauranga, Hamilton, Hawke's Bay, Christchurch. The company cannot identify the buildings for legal reasons. Commonly, consulting engineers who find one flaw call them in, only to find many others. And the worst that Michael Roach-Gray has seen? An extension to a busy public building in Wellington, where the alarm bells went off after the Kaikoura earthquake and where heaps of steel was missing or faulty. Some of the buildings they've scanned have later had to be evacuated and repaired. Jane Roach-Gray says about 60 buildings were so bad she wouldn't want to live or work in them. She ticks off half a dozen examples, such as a new building's basement 7 metres below sea level on the waterfront.
The waterproofing, we believe, from our data was botched. There was severe saltwater ingress into the new construction.
Or where they scanned for crucial steel connectors called drossbacks, steel tubes filled with incredibly strong glue called grout.
Worst case scenarios, we've found buildings where 70 to 100% would not be compliant. So there's either, in some cases, steel is missing, so it's been cut off.
Or found concrete so thin, the steel within was being quickly corroded.
We carried out a myriad of scans throughout a structure that isn't finished yet, and we can say that at least 30% of the data came back with non-compliant concrete cover.
Concrete Structure Investigations is confident that the better engineers are using the data they give them to fix the buildings. But they know that this is not always the case.
We were asked to come in and see if we could identify voids and inclusions in the foundations. Our impression was that as soon as we could identify a problem, they were keen to see us off-site.
They're also aware of legal action being taken, but in each case they know of, it's been settled out of court, keeping the problems out of the public eye. Michael Roach-Gray says others are hiding major defects on site, such as at a concrete pour of a wall he scanned that was designed to carry earthquake loads.
The technology didn't really work that well for the installation of the concrete. The contractors on site decided they'd try and hide the fact. It was only by a fluke that the engineer happened to just see a spot on the concrete, and it was a little pit hole, and he put his finger on it and he stuck his finger right through it.
The wall was littered with invisible voids and had to be rebuilt. The pioneering technology has exposed evidence that building plans, no matter how good, are being ignored or ridden roughshod over.
That becomes down to the contractor who did the original job, chose to not have the skill set on site to actually construct the building as per the plans.
But how does that come to pass? Our next report will analyse the factors at play. For Morning Report, Caulfield Pennington, Aho.